Season 1 and 2 had a really messed up release order. Some episodes released before they were supposed to, or they just released out of order. That being said, some of my episode files are out of order, this one being the first of many. For the entirety of Gemology, I'll be following the List of Steven Universe Episodes Wikipedia page. That seems like the most authoritative source on the issue. Stool continuity, this won't come up until the end of the episode, but all 3 stools are there, and Steven is in fact using one. The inside of Pearl's room can also be seen here for a brief second. I still think it's incredible that there are only 2 episodes with scenes in the whole show that take place in Pearl's room. Seeing inside it all feels like a big deal.
I got 4 empty cans of Colonel's Classic Cream Corn.
Cool.
Yes! Garnet's back, baby! Last episode was just a fluke, and next episode is... You know what? I'll wait. I'm excited for next episode, though.
Unfortunately, though, we gotta go on a mission.
I'm gonna keep complaining about this every time it happens. Because of the Steven's point of view rule that the writers had, the crystal gems go on a mission and we don't get to see it. It makes me wonder what this show would have been like if the episodes were 22 minutes long and used the A-plot, B-plot formula. The A-plot could be Steven's point of view, while the B-plot could be literally anything else. Someday I want to do a full rewrite of this show, and that would probably be one of the biggest changes I make.
A dangerous artifact has appeared in the Northern Hemisphere.
At least with the previous times they went on an off-screen mission, there was something creative, like a giant bird or a living island. But this is just nondescript magic item in nondescript location. Zero creativity here. At least this episode makes up for it later. This is the same caddy bag that appeared in Laser Light Cannon. I didn't point it out in that episode, but notice the rose embroidery. You can tell that this show's writers were huge gamers because video games and game consoles are portrayed so accurately. There's no mistaking the shape of the Nintendo 64 and its stupid 3-handled controller. I am surprised in the current landscape of indie games that someone hasn't created basically this game. Golf-based RPG combat would go so hard. Maybe I'll make it one day. Half moon spotted. I mentioned it ages ago that this show always shows the moon as half full. It's just been so long since we've seen the moon at all. Yeah, no way the N64 could display cutscenes that look that good.
Steven, look at this.
Speaking of video games, this looks so much like the Standing Stones from Skyrim. You know the sound is bad when even Garnet is covering her ears. God damn, I wonder if the whole town could hear this. I'm no carpenter, at least not professionally, but I don't think this closet has a floor. If it does, it's really fucking thin. And that's TV number 3 that's been destroyed so far.
It's not fair! I can't go mini golfing, I can't play my game, I can't stop going to the bathroom because I ate all that creamed corn.
There's some toilet humor that I think is actually really well done in this show's own toned down way. No need to go any farther, and the show doesn't. It knows when enough is enough.
Rose's door.
I didn't edit that, they just kinda teleported down here. You notice how in a lot of these early episodes, whenever the painting of Rose Quartz shows up, her face or her eyes are almost always covered up? There's one instance before this where I can think that that's not the case. All the way back in Together Breakfast, you can see her whole face. Speaking of that episode, in that video I pointed out that each gem's door has a unique sound effect, so here's the one for Rose's door.
It's never about what I want to do, is it? Well, now I have a place where I'm going, and you can't come!
This is uncharacteristically selfish of Steven. Not that I blame him in this instance, and I'm not saying it's out of character. It's good. It makes him more diverse. If he was always selfless and never got angry, it would get boring, and he would just be a Mary Sue.
She must have liked clouds a lot. But what kind of room doesn't even have a bed? Ah!
Any of you watch Star Trek The Next Generation? Rose's room is just this show's version of a holodeck. The holodeck episodes are some of my favorite episodes in that show. I don't think there's a definitive answer to this, but is the inside of this room infinitely large? If not, it's fucking huge.
I want to see the end of my game without being interrupted.
The room even gave the console a crystal gem star in place of the Nintendo 64 logo. You can immediately tell something is up because the door doesn't close behind Steven. The light kind of just fades into what the door normally looks like. You can also tell something is up because it fucked up the stool continuity between shots. Well, that could be normal, I don't know. And here in the big donut, the lion liquor sign is sad instead of smiling like it usually is. And the background music is all weird if you listen close. There are so many little tiny details that stack up to add to this unease and creepiness of this whole episode.
Hello, Steven. What kind of donut would you like?
This show's voice cast would usually record lines with all the actors in the same booth at once, mainly to make recording songs much smoother, but it definitely came in useful for Lars and Sadie having the same speed and inflection on this line. Okay, I don't know how many of you didn't know this because I always thought it was obvious, but the big donut logo is actually a B and a D. I'm curious to know if that's new mind-blowing information to any of you. The only evidence that this isn't the real Onion is the fact that he's not in this shot, but he appears in the immediate next shot. I'm still only half convinced that this is not the real Onion. I'm also realizing now that it's going to get way more difficult to analyze the rest of this episode. Not only is there so much more crazy shit going on, but anything that might be an animation error could just be written off as some fuckery caused by the room.
Hey, if you see them, let me know, okay? Here, have a donut.
Steven is the Robin Hood of donuts. He technically stole those, and now he's giving them away. This is the last scene where the layout of the town actually makes any sense. Later, it seems like Steven is teleporting around, like going from Funland to the arcade between shots. Again, those are on opposite sides of the peninsula here. But right now, the world is kinda holding itself together. Kind of. There's an advertisement for Keep Beach City Weird posted here, which is fitting. I don't think one of these ever appears on the actual Fry shop, but I could be wrong. The background music and creepy ambient noises here are so fucking good in this episode. They kind of juxtapose each other because the music itself is really chill, but pair that with the atmosphere and it's really unsettling. Of all the things the room fucked up or got wrong, the smile sign is where it should be.
Get me out of here! What's wrong with your faces?
That's kind of rude. What if someone said they didn't like your face, Steven? How would you feel then? I like that this is the same splashing sound repeated. Again, very video gamey, very aesthetic. Steven phasing out of the ground is the best animation in this whole episode. What kind of reference do you have to use to draw something like this? Probably video games. This whole episode is video games. Washwav, fart pricing.
Dad? Is that you?
What? Of course. Are you doing all right?
Even though Greg is generated by the room just like everything else, he's the most coherent thing here. It's a great detail because Steven spent more of his life around Greg than anything else. This scene is super wholesome and super heartbreaking.
The gems were trying to tell me something about Mom's room, but I was so mad I didn't listen.
What could the gems be trying to tell him? I don't think they could have warned him about all this happening. They seem shocked by it at the end of the episode. The only thing I could think that they'd be able to do is give him a fucking operator's manual.
Well, the important thing is family and friendship, honesty, values, and no one got arrested.
Steven animation, the gem's stool continuity. Ooh, animation error, a real one. Steven's not part of the room, so what the fuck is going on with his hand? Steven running while the background isn't moving is really good, it's really trippy. You probably don't notice how much the backgrounds actually move until you see something like this. Notice who doesn't get destroyed along with all the fake townies? Onion! I'm telling you, Onion was real the whole time.
I don't want this.
What do you want, Steven?
This, of course, is the voice of Rose Quartz. It's the first time you hear her in the whole series. It brings up an interesting point about Rose not being fully gone. Late into the series, Steven starts being able to see some of her old memories. So I wonder if the room is doing the same thing. Otherwise, Steven would have no idea what she sounded like.
All right, Steven.
Alright, I lied. This is the best animation in this episode. It's the very end of the episode, and the stools are gone. One of the gems could have put them away, but I refuse to believe it. It looks like they were standing by the door the whole time. Amethyst is getting way too into mini-golf. I forgot how fucking good this episode is. Previous episodes like Giant Woman and Steven the Sword Fighter are good and all, but it's mostly just one or two moments in those episodes that people consider when they bring up those ones. This episode is firing on all cylinders for pretty much the whole duration. The writing is fantastic, the animation is fantastic. The whole premise of this episode is amazing and trippy and horrifying all at the same time. Each time the show does disturbing, creepy, or horror vibes in an episode, it's always a home run. This episode is fucking awesome. I'm tempted to call it my favorite one so far. And if you want to see the next episode a week in advance, you can subscribe to my Patreon for just a couple bucks. The link is in the description. Shoutouts to my journeyman patrons Alex Martin, Fiore Army, Mickey B, Raylan, Scala LD, Stephen Wickers, and the Tamar. Also shoutouts to these apprentice patrons. Next episode is Giant Woman. I mean a different giant woman.